indoors, and we are kind of living a new reality. I figured what we would do today is really work with the idea of non-doing. It's a hard concept, especially for people like us who are very focused on accomplished work. Those of us who write and think particularly, it's hard just to find kind of some space. So I'd like to invite you to find a place where you can completely and totally relax. I'd invite you to take to child's pose in the middle of your mat this morning, perpendicular to the short side or parallel to the short sides of your mat. So it's sort of in the middle of your mat, facing outward if that's something you can do. I'm going to read this little passage from T.S. Little. He's a fabulous teacher out of Santa Fe, New Mexico. And it struck me today as I've been writing sort of to-do lists for home, and they've been getting smaller and smaller. And there's sort of anxiety building up about getting things accomplished. Here's what he wrote. We are a culture of doers. So much time is allocated to doing that we are doer devotees. We become chained to a to-do list. It is a golden chain, for we believe that it is all for good. In yoga classes, the Protestant work ethic is alive and well. Where students think the more poses I do, the harder I push, the better I will be. Parents parent in the same way. And the mantra, good job, is usually the first thing a mom says to a child who draws a picture of a tree or toots on her recorder. However, the yoga training, a whole different ethic is involved. In fact, a yoga practice involves as much unlearning as learning, rewiring patterns of physical tension, unlearning patterns of psychological fixation and petty emotions. Not doing is far more challenging than doing, especially for those of us who have been reared to strive, excel, achieve. How do you not do? In the Taoist tradition, not doing is held in high esteem. Called wu-wei, it is a central tenet for following the Tao. Chapter 48 of the Tao Te Ching reads, in pursuit of the Tao, every day something is dropped, less and less is done, until non-action is achieved. So let's just find our way to our child's pose if you're not there just yet. And we'll begin by just stretching out in child's. We're in the middle of the mat, so if you haven't found your way to the middle of the mat, let's find our way there now. Just in the middle of the mat, stretching out in front of you, like so. I'm going to pull this back just a bit so you can see me. So pulling out like so. And then let's walk to the right. Really find that side stretch. And then middle and over to the opposite side. And from here, we're going to find our way into our elbows. So just here on elbows, lifting up through the chest and chin, exhale, rounding through the spine. So we're just doing some cat-cows on our elbows this morning. Just round and round through the spine. And then from our elbows, a really mellow twist. So bringing your left arm under right, and then just settle down. You don't have to do much. Let's just feel some dynamic movement. Just round and round with the hips maybe coming down onto that left shoulder, maybe stretching out into the right hand, pressing into the back of your left hand. Everything back. Once again, 2 elbows. On your inhale, lift the chest and chin. Exhale, round through the spine. Just a couple more times. Just feeling the waking of the spine. And then coming into a twist on the opposite side. And again, just feel free not to find static today. I think static has got a lot to do with striving of sort of accomplishment, but let's just find that dynamic movement that allows us to awaken. Once again, back to your elbows, inhaling, dropping chest and chin, lifting the tailbone. Exhale, round through the spine, really press into the elbows. Again, just find if you can make this movement smooth and fluid. And then back to your child's pose. Hands back behind you. Onto the forehead. Maybe binding the hands behind the back today. And finding very light on the top of your head, rounding through the spine again. And the hands up and over as far as they'll go. Again, really, really light in your head. And if you need to keep a bend into your elbows this morning, again, we're really not striving. We're just finding a place where we can kind of find home base. Find that not doing. Looking for places of tension and tightness this morning, just so we can work them. All right, so coming up to your hands and knees for table. Let's take a couple more cat-cows here. Maybe some big circles with the hips, wagging the tail of the dog, whatever feels good in the body this morning. And then coming to left foot out, just about a foot from your right knee. And then let's come around so that the left toes are pointing straight towards the opposite side wall. And then let's just again take some dynamic movement here. Just feel yourself here. You don't need to come up just yet. Just in and out of that hip. And then perhaps coming up into kind of a dynamic knee warrior two. Again, let's just sort of take it easy. Flipping palms up, flipping palms down, up and down. Now dropping your right hand down to the earth and slow and steady stretch out into that left leg. And again, we can kind of play here with some dynamic movement. So kind of finding your heart shifting towards the floor and then down, up towards the ceiling. Maybe hand comes up, maybe hand goes around. Again, we're just really going to be in these poses and find sort of fluidity. Very nice. Now coming all the way back up, once again to that warrior two. Just once again moving. Hands out, warrior two pattern. And then let's drop our left hand to the inside of left leg. And once again, maybe some dynamic movement. Breathing, just keep focused on sort of unlearning patterns in the hip. There are lots of us who are working from home. There's a lot of sitting, right? There's not a lot of walking to the copier or out for lunch, we're sort of stuck. So maybe our hips are becoming stuck too. Beautiful. Let's come around, pivot on your right knee. And once again, let's just find dynamic movement here. We can bring the hips back over the right knee and then up to kind of a really mellow, low crescent. Just back and forth. Again, let this be a moving meditation. Work with the tight places in your body. I like to keep my torso on my upper thigh, just allowing myself to completely feel supported by my own body. So next time we come to that low crescent lunge, planting your hand and reaching your right arm up to the sky, or left arm up to the sky. And again, maybe wrapping it behind the back, just relaxing the shoulder. And then we're coming back to the midline. Find your table right here in the middle of your mat. On inhale, drop your belly, lift your chest and chin. Exhale, round through the spine. Maybe some big circles with the hips. Again, allow your hips to talk to you. And now right foot out, right? And we'll find some more movement here, just back and forth. And then coming around, facing the right toes towards the side wall. Again, just smooth movement. Up into that kind of mellow on your knees. Warrior two, flipping palms, working here dynamically. And then dropping your left hand to the earth, straighten out into that right leg. Again, anything you want to do. So heart shines towards the floor and then up towards the sky, towards the floor, up towards the sky. Maybe just stillness feels good. Maybe that's where the not doing is for you this morning. Maybe wrapping the hand around the back once again. And again, up to your warrior two. And dropping your hand to the inside of your foot. And taking the other hand out. Again, feel free to do what you need to do in your body this morning. Now let's come around and frame out the foot, pivot on your knee, and find your hips just going back behind you as far as they'll go, to your edge. You don't need to go any farther than that. Can you find some logic with the breath and body movement this morning? Alrighty, let's come around to the center and find a wide-legged forward fold in the middle of your mat. Now here, for some of us, it might be wise to find blocks or a book, whatever feels good to you, or just keeping your feet wider or more narrow, just based on what you feel in your body this morning. Look down at the feet, finding that all four corners of the feet are plugged in. And then we'll walk our way around to the left-hand side of your mat. Dropping your hand to the inside of your left foot and left hand up to the sky. Give yourself a twist. Once again, maybe that hand comes back behind. Shoulder blades drip down the back. Keep a tone in the back leg. And then all the way around to the midline. And let's take that shape now to the other side of the mat. Lift up. And once again down to the mat. Let's go ahead and toe heel in to the middle of the mat. Let everything relax into your standing forward fold. Keep a nice big bend into the knees if that feels good this morning. Maybe a little bit of dynamic movement here, walking from one side of the mat to the other. Vertebra by vertebra, we're coming all the way up into standing. Shrug your shoulders around and around. I'm going to grab for my handy dandy hair holder. So find a mellow mountain today. Usually I'm sort of fussing about belly and fussing about inner thighs. Today, we're just standing. We're just standing here. Sometimes that's all we can do. Is just stand. So find effort and ease, that beautiful balance between effort and ease. Let something go and find something to engage in your body. Again, unlearning is what we're here to do. Close the eyes. Take a deep full breath in and out. Inhale, both hands high to the sky. Let's do it as slowly as we possibly can. Exhale all the way down to the earth. Inhale, just lift and lengthen. Exhale, unfold. Inhale, reverse swan dive, all the way up. And hands together at center. Inhale, hands high. Let's take a side bend over to the right again. Feel free just to let this be dynamic. Up to the center. Exhale, over to the left-hand side. Inhale, back up to center. Exhale, take a forward fold all the way down to the earth. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, and fold. Go ahead and sit down into your chair, hands to your legs. Inhale, lengthen up through the heart. Exhale, round through the spine. Inhale, seated cow. Exhale, seated cat. Go ahead and take a forward fold and toe heel all the way back out to your wide-legged forward fold. Bend into one knee and then the other. Let's just keep that juiciness going, maybe lifting up into the toes this time for a modified Skandasana. And then working your way around. Once again, let's frame out the left foot, planting the right hand, sending the left hand up to the sky once again. Maybe you feel warm enough to do a reverse Skandasana. If not, just stay in your twist. Deep full breath in. And bring it all the way back around. We're walking towards the right foot and preparing ourselves for a high lunge. Coming up, high lunge. So situate yourself here. It's okay if you're sort of moving, if you're finding dynamic movement, or just tuning into your energy body today. Keeping your left knee over your left ankle. Find breath. Hands come down to your hips. And just one smooth, fluid movement. Let's bring that left knee over right and sit down into your Garudasana legs. Now, you can stay right here. You can take a modified Garudasana, left elbow under right, holding on to opposite shoulders, or taking the full Garudasana. You're going to be here for a couple more breaths. Again, let's just look for deep full breaths in and out. Looking for that ease. Unwinding. Hands come back behind the back. Exhale, take a forward fold with the arms bound. Hands down to the earth. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale and fold. Send your right foot back behind you. Letting your right hand and left hand high to the sky. I know I'm getting some of this wrong with the left and the right, but you can see we're now at the opposite end of your mat. So here we go. Maybe taking your reverse Skandasana, maybe not. And then everything down to the mat. Once again, we're coming around to the back of your mat or the front of your mat and finding your high lunge here. So once again, just find your stability, but also find ease. Maybe it feels better to do this morning. Maybe it feels okay to come all the way up and clasp the hands. Wherever we are, we're just working on non-doing. We're being here in the moment, not striving. You find a place where your body is striving but doesn't need to strive. Right, hands to your hips, slow and steady, fluid movement. Move your knee, your back knee, over your front knee, sit down. So let's find some engagement here. Now, bringing your right elbow under your left for your Garudasana. Again, modification here or here, wherever we are, it's all good. I'm just going to take some big full breaths. Staying here in the breath. And then completely unwinding, hands bind back behind the back. Take the forward fold. And something go. The head and neck can be heavy. And the power of your shoulders just switching off with this. Release the hands down to the earth. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale and fold. Send your right foot back behind you. Once again, take that twist. Maybe your reverse Skandasana. Inhale, back to your standing forward fold, middle of the mat. We're framing out the front foot. Inhale, rising up, high lunge. Find your hips, slow and steady. Vinyasa. Finding your arm placement as well. Deep full breath in and out. Keeping your arms where they are. Unwind the foot. Warrior one. So let's do 3 big circles, round and round. And opposite direction. And then humble warrior. Leaning forward. Holding your right knee directly over your right ankle. There you go. Breathe. And slow and steady, keeping your arm bind. Finding your warrior 3. And all the way into standing. Maybe you have the arm bind. A little bit of a back bend. Open up the hands. Bind the hands behind the back. Lift up into the heart. Exhale, take a forward fold. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, fold and fold. And let the hands come down to the mat. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale and fold. Send your right foot back behind you. Plant your right hand. Left hand high to the sky. Take your reverse Skandasana. Inhale back through the midline. Skandasana. Find your lunge to the top of the mat. Lift up. High lunge. Hands to the hips. Slow and steady. Find your Asana. Find that right arm under left. Unwind to your warrior one. So 3 big circles. Opposite direction. With control. Warrior. Oh, sorry, I forgot humble warrior. Let's take humble warrior. Feel the engagement of the lower body. And we're trying to keep something loose. Now, warrior. Put back behind you. And mountain with Garudasana arms. Lift up into the heart. And unwind, binding the hands back behind the body and taking the forward fold. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale and fold. Let's go ahead and send the left foot back behind you. Once again, get juicy in the hip. Let's toe heel. Our feet sort of directly underneath the knees. Ankles and knees far in line. And toes splayed out a bit. Let's find our hands at our knees and find your goddess this morning. Again, you guys know that I am an advocate of dynamism, fluidity on that. So just find your dance of your hips, these beautiful hips of yours. So let's go ahead and give ourselves a big hug. Doesn't matter which arm is on top, but just making a mental move. So find your goddess, and from here, bring your left shoulder to left knee, and around, right shoulder to right knee, and up. And let's just take this as a dynamic movement today. 3 times. Open up, and now opposite arm on top. There we go. Let's start this time towards the right. Down, around, and up. Down and around and up. Down and around and up. Down and around and up. Release. Hands come down to the earth. Walk your feet out. Again, maybe you've done no downward dogs today. Has anybody noticed? And that is by design. So maybe a big wide-legged dog. So just relax yourself here in any shape that makes sense to you this morning. If you have a tripod headstand, it might make sense. It could make more sense just to try and find the crown of your head coming down to the earth and bringing your hands back behind you. Wherever we are, let's stay light in the top of the head. And we'll take 5 full deep resting breaths here. We've been moving a lot, but again, we've been moving without the vinyasa. By design. I think sometimes as yoga practitioners, we put a lot of emphasis in the vinyasa. Vinyasa in Sanskrit just means to place in a special way. And we can kind of get into that routine. Roll yourself up into plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale to your baby cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale back, downward facing dog. And we equate that work, those to-dos, with yoga. But yoga is just the breath. Yoga is the undoing and the unlearning. And so I remember feeling very excited when we would get to vinyasa in my early classes because I knew it. I could do it. But part of doing it over all these years means that I also learned some bad habits about it. My body, my breath, my mind. And so undoing those is really where I am in my practice. And maybe you find some things that you need to undo as well. All right, let us come back. We're going to try that one more time. All right, so again, now that we've got a little bit of ease going, let us find our way around once again towards, this time we'll start towards the left-hand side of the mat, planting the right hand, the left hand high. Take your skandasana if you'd like. Inhale back to center, walking your way around, framing out the foot, rising up, high lunge. Hands to your hips. Bring that knee over your right knee. Sit down. And we're going to bring the left elbow under right. This time, think carefully about whether you need this. On your exhale, knees and elbows meet. Inhale it back up. Exhale, knees and elbows meet. Inhale back up. Exhale, knees and elbows meet. Inhale back up. Unwind. This time we're going to unwind the hands as well. Warrior one. Binding your hands behind the back. Humble warrior. Taking a big step out. Warrior three. Back to your warrior one. Inhale your hands out in front of you. Straighten out the foot. On your the knee. On your inhale, bend back into the knee and open up the hands. And exhale it all together. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. One more time on your own breath. And then back to your warrior one. Frame out your foot. Scooch those back toes back, back, back. Plant your left hand, right hand high to the sky, either staying here or reverse vinyasa. Back up to the center, over to a skandasana, and framing out the foot. Find your way into a strong high lunge without doing. Beautiful, everybody. Hands to hips. And now we're going to step forward into Garudasana. Sit low. Now bring your right elbow under left. And again, thinking about whether you need to do this. Exhaling. Crunch. Inhale it back up. Exhale. Crunch. Inhale it back up. Exhale. Crunch. Inhale it back up. Unwind to your warrior one. Straighten out the front leg. Oops, sorry. Again, humble warrior. I always forget it this way. And I shouldn't because I'm looking outside from this vantage point. So humble warrior. Once again, lifting up, finding the warrior three. Back to your warrior one. Now, let's do that flow. Straighten out the leg, hands in front of you on exhale. Inhale, open up. Exhale it all together. Inhale, open up. And exhale back. Inhale up. Exhale. All right. One more time on your own breath. And then we'll come back to a warrior one. Laying out the foot. This time we're going to walk our way around. Rock your knees to the mat. We'll find our frog this morning. So knees and ankles in a line. Feet are splayed out. From here, you can drop your elbows to the mat, perhaps. Perhaps that's not something to do. Whatever feels good. And by the way, if it feels better not to do this pose, you know, you can just find your big toe mounds together, legs splayed way, way, way apart, and dropping your belly into midline. Just working on your hip opener this way. We'll do a little bit more hip opening, but just give yourself a moment of challenge in frog pose vipassana. It is really challenging, particularly if we keep the hips right over the knees and we look for a wide stance with the knees. Find your breath. Let's not let the back sway here, but let's not be too striving about it. Let's just see if we can send the breath to the hips, unlock some of the tightness in the hips this morning. Take 3 more full deep breaths. And let's walk our way back. So everybody, go ahead and touch your big toe mounds together behind you if you've been in frog. And bring your hands back behind you, and then let's just lift up into the hips as far as we can. Find the opening of the chest, shoulder blades kind of relaxed. Keep the head on straight, so we don't want to sort of overflex into the neck. And then everything down. Let's come with our feet out in a wide-legged stance on our sit bones. Moving the flesh from underneath you. This is a great place also to grab for a blanket or a pillow from the couch. Keeping engaged in the feet, but again, let's not work so much with striding. Let's find just that beautiful line between effort and ease. Let your torso just tilt towards the midline. And then once again, we're not going to strive. We're just going to, each time you have to inhale, find some length, find some spaciousness here in the non-doing. Exhale, just lay down in that space that you created. And each time you inhale, find length. Exhale, find the belly pulling in and out. No space there. Deep full breath in and out. So bringing your left hand to the inside of your left foot and taking a big, big side stretch. Now, lots of us want to grab for that toe and sort of look under the arm. Today, let's do something countercultural. Let's bring the upper arm back behind and sort of find that half bind. So the hand is tracking back behind or tracking up the shoulder, and then let's just release the head. Just let the head and neck hang heavy. What we've got going on here is the strength of the legs, and then sort of the non-doing, the unlearning at the top of the body. Feel the stretch in your right trapezius, upper trapezius. Undo the bind. Let's walk it over low and slow to the other side. Let's begin here. So that sense of like, I'm not going to strive for that today. I'm going to work it back, find my half bind or my hand walking palm face out up my spine. And I'm just going to let everything chill. And find this beautiful place of relaxation, even in the midst of challenges. It comes from the breath, it comes from the present moment. And then undoing yourself. Let's come all the way back up. I promised another hip opener, and we're going to take it. This is for Meredith, if she's there. Meredith, I know you love your pigeon. So let's bend into the left knee and find our way into pigeon. Again, we're going to be mellow about it, right? So I'm trying to avoid that ever-present downward dog vinyasa thing. We can find pigeon in different ways. We can find challenging poses without a to-do list. So let's find pigeon. Making sure that you're smack dab on the top or right on the top of your left knee. So your left knee needs to make contact with the mat and the left top of the foot onto the mat. Trying hard not to sickle. Most of us will kind of need to move our toes a little bit farther back. Here's a good place for that pillow from the couch right underneath your left flank, right? So find your belly button moving forward. So like you're bringing it towards the top of your mat from here. And then maybe finding your way into a deep pigeon. So let's be here for a good 8 deep full resting breaths. And the places where you're still holding on to tension. That old to-do list. Hold this shoulder right up near your ear. Let your belly just relax. And if you can a little bit of a tone in the belly, you can relax the shoulder blades away from the ear. Just I'm learning old ways of breathing. All right, let's come all the way up. And we're going to find our way. Sort of just foot out, wide-legged once again, and we'll find our way into pigeon this way. Find your hands underneath your shoulders. Adjust. Walk your back toes back, back, back. All right? Keep a flex in the front foot. Belly button moving towards the front of your mat. Elongate through the spine. Find your way into pigeon. So 8 full deep resting breaths here. All right, come on up. And staying looking towards the right-hand side of our mat. Let's just pull that left foot up and around and find what I usually call a Melanavasana, but we're not going to come into Melanavasana today. We're going to go ahead and bring a flex into the foot, okay? And we're going to reach for our toes. This is the one time when I won't say, don't strive, don't reach for those toes, do something countercultural. But let's see how small we can make ourselves. So bringing your kneecap as far up into your armpit as possible, but beautiful geography of the body. Just feel your way here. You're going to need to engage into your inner thighs just a bit. And let's bring our hands sort of under the foot, if that's possible. It might not be, so in which case you could just sort of hang out. But the whole idea is, can we get our torso right on top of our upper thighs? Now, if you have your hands, even if you have a toe hold, let's go ahead and just straighten out into the feet and give yourself a nice big sort of sense of traction, right? So you're pulling, 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 and finding your way into even a smaller space. Those knees might really come up into the armpits now. Press, press, press into your hands. And allow your lower back just to open a little bit. Let your head and neck come heavy. All right, release. And just as slowly as you possibly can, vertebra by vertebra, all the way down to the back. Bring your knees up into your belly. Give yourself a good squeeze. Rocking side to side on the sacral spine. Round and round. And let's stir the knees. Opposite directions. And towards the inner thighs, towards the midline. And then maybe a big old happy baby. Side to side. Bring the knees up into the belly. Give yourself a big squeeze. And dropping your feet down to the earth. Find your bridge pose today. But let's, again, release the to-do. Let's stop thinking about this as an anatomical, muscular thing and more as a lifting up of all the burdens, just all the burdens of this day and time that we live in. We're just going to find ourselves kind of floating up to the sky. All right? So on inhale, just lift your hips. Find some solidity in the feet, in the heart center. Just let the hips go up, up, up. Maybe some dynamic movement here, side to side. Again, it really doesn't matter. You're just living in the body. Learning to undo. And down to the mat. Hands out in T pattern, bring the knees up, over, to one side or the other, it doesn't matter. Relax. Knees back up into the center and over to the other side. Knees back up into the center. And maybe Supta Baddha Konasana first. Soles of the feet together. Let your legs splay open wide. Feel the heart lifting. And legs out in front of you. Finding Shavasana. If there's something you just really need to do before you take the Shavasana, please feel free to do that now. In which case, we'll all find our way into our Shavasana. And just allowing yourself to fully and completely relax. if you find your way into thinking about what happens after this. And it's okay, everybody does this. But feel free just to dismiss this for right now, just like you dismiss a calendar reminder. You can think about it later. But for right now, just breathe deeply. Find a sense of relaxation. All right, dear friends. I'm going to leave you here in this state. I want you to stay as long as you feel you need to. Give yourself a moment just to not do, just to be. All my love to you, and I will see you soon. Bye all.